My people, it's your favorite philosopher. It's Milo Nowhere here. How you guys doing? Oh, me, I'm doing perfectly fine. Hey, look, man. In this monotonous life, as you see me holding my cellular device, it's very easy to overlook some of the simple things that give your life some meaning. Now, you may be working a job you don't want to work. You may be feeling lonely. You may be in a terrible relationship. You may be very uninspired, unambitious. You may feel broken. You may be depressed, suicidal, all that. And I've experienced all of those things that you are experiencing. And throughout all of this struggle, throughout all of this hurt, there are some things that I came to the realization of. Now, I did uh, imply that we were missing out on some of the simple things. So here I am to simplify the meaning of life. It may not apply to you, but I think if you do apply these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, I think that it will give your life more meaning. It will help you feel more fulfilled. Okay? So, without further ado, because I know that I can ramble quite a bit, I'm going to give you my perspective. So, the first thing, to create. Now, I've spoken on this many times, is that is one of our very missions here in this experience is to create. Now, when it comes to creating, as far as your everyday life, pencil that in on your to-do list. Do you like to write poetry? Make sure you put that in there. Write books, music, always pencil that in there. I think you'll be a little less unhappy if you make time to create the things that matter to you. Okay? And this is something that I even have to tell myself. Okay? I've written hundreds of poems, probably thousands. I have my books. I have quite a bit. Link in the description. And even still, I will allow for myself to go without creating and wonder why I am upset at times. Now, that shouldn't be the end all. That shouldn't be the only reason why I'm upset. But sometimes I just feel unfulfilled. And if you're not creating, chances are you're consuming. And what are we consuming? We are consuming somebody else's creation. Right now, I am recording on a MacBook. I'm holding a Droid phone in my hand. Okay? And when I am binging on somebody else's hard work, their products that they created, it's not uncommon for me to question, when are you going to work on your product? Okay? You aren't that happy of a person, so why are you spending all this time consuming and not creating? Because we aren't going to get a happier life through consuming, per se. We have to create a happier life. We have to create a better life. Okay? So, although when I was speaking of creating initially, I was just talking about what you're going to put into the world, your books, your music, your yada yadas, whatever it may be, your courses, but also our experiences, and my next point, connections. So, another meaning in this life is to create connections with interesting people, hopefully ambitious people, people who are going somewhere, people who will bring out the best parts of you. Now, that may not often be the case for you, but I can tell you that there are people like that out there. And I am desperately looking for people out there who would like to make connections, who are ambitious, who love to create. And as a team, as a unit, we could do a lot better as an individual. Okay? So we feel lonely very often, even if surrounded by a bunch of people, is because we don't necessarily have those connections going. One thing that I do struggle with personally is that I don't really feel too much of a connection with people. Sometimes I struggle to have a connection with my own daughter, but when I am focusing on just existing in the moment and not too much worried about what I have to do for her in order to feel like a great dad, then I do feel that connection. Then I do see the universe in her eyes. Okay? So, again, the second uh, meaning of life is to create connections, hopefully impenetrable bonds. It isn't created over anything shallow like gossiping, talking shit, and all that. But I am a fan of a good old roast session, roasting each other and things like that. But making it all about love and not just and not envy and jealousy and hatred towards one another. I believe that hatred and envy and jealousy and all that is a man-made product, byproduct. We have been sold that there isn't enough to go around, so we start to look at our peers, anyone around us, with hostile eyes when they have something that we want. But I'm not about that anymore. Even if I do fight off the initial envy and jealousy, I don't let that dictate how I'm going to treat a person. I will sing their praises because I know that nothing is going to get me closer to where I want to be like praising somebody else for their hard work and their results. Um, so, the next thing is just to be. To be or not to be is the question. Now, I don't know what the fuck that person meant by that. Whoever said that. Who was that? Othello? I'm not sure. Was it William Shakespeare? I don't know. Was it a character he created? Regardless of the fact, although we can't afford to do this all the time, it is natural for us to just be. Like the trees behind me, shaking. Look at the leaves shaking. Like the bird waking up at 4:30 in the morning after a conscious or unconscious pursuit of the first meal of the day, religiously, routinely, getting up and flapping its wings. You have proverbial wings. Why am I talking like this, like a poetic robot? But seriously, to just be, to just breathe, to hear the water flowing, than to hear it crash against the rocks, unlike you've ever heard it before, to hear the birds sing like you've never heard them before, and hear the kids laugh and imagine like never before. You open your ears and your eyes and all of your senses up to it, and just be and let it fill you. Let it put warmth inside of you, the type of warmth that you cannot get from marijuana or alcohol or any form of pharmaceutical. You know, to just be. It's okay. If you're unhappy, I'd rather you just be as opposed to binge watch television. Okay? When you're just being, you are opening up the gates for a deeper introspection. I know because I know. All right? And the more that I know, the more that I learn, the less that I really know, or the less that I will allow myself to believe that I know. In this ever-changing world, in this mystery, here I am trying to simplify things. And there is no easier way to simplify things than to just be. It's so natural, baby. Don't get caught up in the complexity of the external world. This is a spiritual existence, my friends. Any bit of warfare that you may feel is spiritual. So start there. Start at the root of it all. And it is the solution to many of your problems. So the next thing is to experience, as I've kind of alluded to, but what do I mean by this? Experience things you've never experienced before. It does not have to be expensive, and it does not have to be it doesn't have to be saint level fun. For example, I think it'd be quite an experience if you love women to watch two women kiss each other. Not even engaging in sex, not you engaging in sex with them. It's fun, it's nice to have the option there, but to just sit in a room and watch two women kiss each other with your consent, with their consent, and you play the role of a voyeur, just enjoying yourself, taking it all in. Maybe this is the time that you do have a nice drink. You do sip wine. But anything to question the monotonous lifestyle that you've inherited, that you have given yourself. That's what I call an experience. Seeing that rock band, seeing that performer that you admire so much, that's an experience. To go after something that you always wanted and you finally got it. Take it all in, my friends. Don't let it pass by. Don't downplay it for the sake of others, because of the unhappiness that others may hold, and the experience of watching others live out their dreams. It's amazing, man, just to sit back and marvel and to be able to celebrate other people and really get the most out of his life. You got to pull everything out of every experience. Pull everything out of every experience because it may never come again. When times are good, you really need to sit down. Not really sit down, but you really need to take it all in and say to yourself in one way or the other, like, wow, this moment may never happen again. In fact, this moment is never coming back. I really need to take it all in. I need all my senses for this one, man. This is beautiful. Okay? And I don't want to lose it. And it may even open up the gates for some momentum. For you to take that momentum and make better experiences. And finally, another meaning of life is to leave it all behind. I talked about creating, so I'll just tie that to creating. When I think about the books that I've written, for example, and there will be many more books, and there will be there will be other things that I will create. But when I think about the books, for example, this is my time capsule. I'd like to think that when I go, people will miss me. So this may soften the blow quite a bit. Maybe it might make them miss me even more, but I'm leaving something behind to them. I'm leaving more than just money. By the way, I can't pass on a 9 to 5 to my children, as I've written in my new book that's coming out very soon this month. Um, and by the way, if you want to check out my books and support me, the link is in the description. But to leave it all behind, we have our time capsules. This is basically our history. These are history books, basically. Okay? I'll never be able to go back to 2014 when I wrote that new book, even though I can go back and edit it completely. But that aside, I can't go back to 2014. But the books will always be there so long as Amazon is around. And Amazon will be around for a long time. There's a lot of geniuses on that goddamn team. So, you got to think in terms of the present, but you also got to think about what are you going to leave behind. You know, it sucks when you die. You know, we try to come up with all these philosophical ways to look at death, and it's like, oh, it's the end of suffering, it's this and that. Yeah, the end of suffering for you, but for everyone that you leave behind, it's terrible. Especially if you mean something to them, and you do, okay? So it's even worse when you die and you just leave nothing, man. You know, the smell in your clothes tend to fade. You know, your computers and all that, it doesn't really have your stamp on it. But your books, your music, your videos, your voice, your writing. Come on now. That's invaluable. Never discount, never discredit what it means to create. Just because you aren't a big star, okay? If everyone thought like that, nothing would ever happen. Nothing would be created. We all be sitting back waiting for the perfect opportunity to make something out of ourselves. I'll tell you when the perfect opportunity is. It's right now. And this is coming from a guy who's given his all to put out a video. He's in his car. He's low budget. He's not editing anything. He's making a fool out of himself sometimes. He is putting himself out there to be hurt. But also, as I'm looking at myself, I'm looking from the eyes of my great-grandchildren. How are you doing, great-grandchildren? Because you may never get the chance to meet me. You may have never met me. But here we are, a young, sexy version of me. I'm your great-grandfather. And that's why things like this matters. That's why it matters to leave things behind. So, never stops to think about how much you don't matter, because it's not true. You're the only person who can believe that, my friends. And I understand that you guys value me, but I value you just as much, if not more. You have a lot to offer. And if you feel like you don't, do things to defy that, okay? If you feel weak, do things to make you feel strong. If you feel dumb, do things to make you feel smart, and not at the expense of others. If you feel weak, you don't go around bullying people. You hit the gym. If you feel dumb, you don't go around undermining people or looking for somebody to stumble on the way that they talk. You don't look for ways to correct people in the way of their spelling. You read a book. You expose yourself to informative information, my friends, because we want to make this world a better place. We don't just want to use it all up, piss and shit all over the goddamn place, and then die. That's not what we're here for. We're here to do meaningful things. Alright? So take care, my friends. This is the meaning of life. I love you all. Thanks a lot for your support. Please like and subscribe. I really want to be around for a long time. But even if I'm not able to do so, I have these videos. And I just want to thank you all for putting it out there for other people to see, and feeling like I have something to offer, feeling like I matter to you all. It means a lot to me. So thanks a lot. Take care.